matter that Ali Khan Mahmudabad is an empath, that he's a friend to his students at Ashoka University, that he is a responsible citizen, an articulate voice in public discourse, and an advocate for peace. Viewers, it should also not matter, at least legally, that his wife is 9 months pregnant, due any moment, that this may be the worst possible time to tear a couple apart, that she might be home all alone while he sits in judicial custody. Viewers, what should matter and what must matter is what 1,200 academics across India said well before the police came knocking at his door, seemingly at the behest of the Haryana State Commission for Women and a local BJP leader. It's preposterous. They wrote that that we have come to such a pass in India that even praising the army, albeit while criticizing those who clamor war, can now invite such targeted harassment and attempted censorship. Perhaps the Supreme Court of India would agree. So, what exactly led to his arrest? Viewers, earlier this month, following the start of Operation Sindoor, India's strategic military response to Pakistan's cross border terrorism, Mahmudabad posted on social media. In his post, he condemned the Pakistani military actions. He lauded the Indian armed forces for their strategic restraint. So far, no problem. But then he added something more. And this is the part that stirred the hornet's nest. Viewers, he said, and I quote, I am very happy to see so many right wing commentators applauding Colonel Sofia Qureshi, but perhaps they could also equally loudly demand that victims of mob lynching, arbitrary bulldozing, and others who are victims of BJP's hate mongering be protected as Indian citizens. The optics of two women soldiers presenting their findings is important, but optics must translate to reality on ground. Otherwise, it's just hypocrisy. Viewers, it's a complex thought, one that praises, one that questions, one that challenges a double standard. But was this the right time or the right moment to say it? Because the Haryana Women's Commission clearly didn't think so. They accused him of undermining women in uniform, vilifying the military action, and was insulting national unity at a time of war. Two FIRs followed, one from the commission, another from a BJP Youth Morcha leader, and a local village sarpanch. According to the police, Mahmudabad has been booked under multiple provisions of the Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita, including sections 196, which deals with promoting enmity between two groups, and 152, the so-called decolonized version of the old sedition law, now used to prosecute acts endangering India's sovereignty and unity. This is serious, viewers, because Section 152 carries a punishment ranging from 7 years to life imprisonment. But here's what makes it even more serious. What exactly in his statement endangers national unity? Where is the incitement to violence? Where is the hatred? Let me be very clear, I do not agree with Ali Khan Mahmudabad, not on the timing of his message. Yes, hypocrisy must be called out. Yes, double standards deserve scrutiny. Yes, India's minorities deserve protection, and not just in principle but in practice. But war or anything close to it is an emotionally charged time. A time when families across the country are glued to their screens praying for the safety of those in uniform. In that moment, perhaps what Mohammedabad said, while not wrong in substance, was wrong in timing. Viewers, a warlike situation is not the time to give your ideological opponent an opportunity to label you as unpatriotic. And in his effort to point out contradictions, Mahmudabad gave them just that. So I disagree with him, but that's democracy. Because in democracy, disagreement is not a call for censorship. Disagreement is not an invitation for arrest. Disagreement must not be criminalized. And therein lies the core issue. Viewers, the Supreme Court of India, time and again, has said this clearly. In March this year, while quashing an FIR against Congress MP Imran Pratapgari for an Instagram post, the court said Section 196 of the BNS must be judged using standards of reasonable, strong minded, firm, and courageous individuals, not those with weak and oscillating minds. Very, very important. The court added, they said, even if a large number of persons dislike the views expressed by another, the right of the person to express the views must be respected and protected. That is the very essence of a constitutional democracy. In fact, this principle has been upheld for decades. In 2015, the Supreme Court struck down Section 66A of the IT Act, a broad law used to criminalize offensive online speech. It held that the law was unconstitutional, even not even reasonable restriction under Article 19, subclause 2. In 1989, the court lashed out at Tamil Nadu government viewers for blocking a film due to fears of unrest. It warned against letting an intolerant group of people hold free speech hostage. The court was very, very, very particular in this case. Even in 2023, the Supreme Court set aside a ban on a news channel, Media One, reminding us that national security cannot be used as a blanket excuse to curtail civil rights. And in 2024 or 2025 now, we're seeing the same pattern. Disagreement met with criminal charges, criticism treated as disloyalty, dissent labeled as sedition. But let's pause, viewers. Let's ask, what happens when we keep going down this path? What happens when the definition of anti national keeps expanding? What happens when reasoned criticism is always seen as a threat? What happens when we begin locking up professors for asking difficult, even uncomfortable questions? We don't just lose individuals to jails, we lose the very air of democracy, the ability to disagree, to argue, to debate, and yes, to be wrong without fear of an arrest. I began this show, viewers, by suggesting that Mahmudabad's empathy, his scholarship, even his wife's pregnancy should not matter to law, and that is still true. His voice may not echo the majority view, but in democracy, that is no crime. It is, in fact, its very proof. The Supreme Court said it best while granting interim relief to veteran journalist Arnab Goswami. It said liberty is not a gift for the few. Ashoka University professor Ali Khan Mahmudabad was sent to a 14-day judicial custody today. The police had asked for a 7-day remand. A Sonipat court denied it. The Supreme Court will now hear this petition on Wednesday, that is today, and that, my friends, is where the story must now shift. From opinion to law, from outrage to the Constitution, from arrest to adjudication. We will, of course, be watching. You're watching The Verdict with Sairam B on newstap1.com. Thank you.